A month ago, I saw this Porsche Macan S at a BCA auction for a buy it now of £7,000 less than its trade value. And upon further inspection, I could see that it had a slight engine problem. Now, I thought this was well worth the risk and I hit buy it now. And in the last video, I found the problem. It was a loose stretch timing chain. So in this video, we're going to be fixing that, getting it all back into the car and seeing if it's fixed the problem.
Right, go on then. All right, easy, easy. A lot less. Again, that's it.
And I'm just going to go around here because it's quite evident that the chain is a problem. So obviously this is fully tensioned. Look how slack it is. And you're going to want to watch to the end because what Audi and Porsche have done is absolutely ridiculous. Now, following on from that previous video, I would have just given you an update as to where we are. The timing chains haven't turned up as yet, but even I'm actually uncomfortable with the amount of mess that I've got here, to be honest. But what do you do? I've got to put all the parts somewhere, and I don't really want to have to... At the minute, it's fresh in my mind, so I want to crack on so I know where everything goes, put it all back together. So while I'm waiting for the chains to turn up, I am going to remove the chains in preparation. And to do that, I have bought a kit which does the Audi 3 litre and the 2.9s. So it does the RS4 and the S5 and these ones, the 3 litre petrols as well. So this is the DLZA engine. And because I don't have a Porsche software, but I do have Audi, I was able to find an A6 55 TFSI, which has the exact same engine as you can see there. Look, DLZA, and that's an A6 3 litre petrol 55. So I've got all the timing chain diagrams. So this is an Audi direct repair worksheet. This is on Elsa, and I'll be using that to change the chains over. So I've started off by putting I put the old tensioner back on and I've put it into TDC. And to do that, we just rotate it round until there's a mark. Oh, you can't really see it. Let me get a torch. See, there's a slit in the top of the crank pulley and it's got to line up perfectly with that sort of mark there on the block. And also I've screwed a bolt in the hole into the block. So the crank is now locked in TDC. And you know, so you can get a rotation out because obviously the crank rotates twice to the camshafts every once. Or is it the other way around? I can't remember. I don't know. It's too early in the morning. But to know you've got it in TDC, there are marks here. So you've got a little divot here in the crank and in the camshaft, and that's got to see in that little window there. That's got to sit in that window, which it does. And the same on this side. There is the same divot and the same window. The same window in there. Look, you can just about see it. There it is. Look, right there. And that's in line as well. So we know it's now locked in TDC. Now this is where it gets a bit more complicated because it's actually quite a big kit. It's not a simple kit to do this. So we've got to use these A and B. A's on the other side, I assume, yep. And then we've got to use whatever ones it tells me to. There'll be certain numbers here that we've got to screw into this. And then we have to remove some bungs in the back. I've got to remove the vacuum pump as well. And then there's another two this side. Look, you can see I've got to remove that one and that one. And then we just slot in them plates into here, which locks into a groove. You can see, and that locks into a groove that you can see there in the camshaft. So then that locks the camshafts in position. Then we've got the crank locked, the camshafts locked, and that is when we can remove these bolts, loosen off the variators, and then we can take our chains and guides off and replace it all. So I haven't done one of these before either, so obviously I'm going to be taking my time a little bit more. So I'm going to film it. I'm just going to butt in important parts and just tell you what I'm doing. But hopefully it all goes quite well. So first of all, I needed to set up the camshaft locking tools, and it's quite complicated. There's a load of tools you've got to screw into this big adapter, and then each adapter screws into the back of each head to lock the camshafts into position. And once you've done that, then you can remove the variators from the front of the engine using your counter hold tool, removing the bolts, which means you can then take the variators off and then take the chain off too. Right, so I don't repeat myself, I have removed the chain and tensioners from this bank as well, and you may have noticed I've also cleaned everything up. So everywhere where silicon's going to go to stop oil from escaping when the engine's running, I have cleaned up all the surfaces, so they are all now ready to go. And I've got down here my timing chain cover as well, so I've cleaned up all the surface on that side as well. And one other thing we've got to do now, Audi slash Porsche will recommend and tell you to actually do this. When you're fitting the timing chain cover, but you're keeping the heads on, you need to grind down the locating bungs here. Now, I've already done them, and as you can see, I've taken it out and I've actually sort of chamfered the edge. So I've cut a bit of an angle off it, and that is because there's another one to go in here and in here. I've actually put them in the timing chain cover because it's easier. And the reason you've got to do that is because if these were a full locating bung complete, you just would not be able to get that timing chain cover on. It would be impossible because you've got to kind of feed it under the heads and slot it on. And that is the reason we have to cut off a bit of an edge there. Because also when you're fitting this up, you're putting the silicone on it as well. So you need it to go on smooth first time and not make a mess. Otherwise, inevitably, you're going to get leaks when you eventually put the engine all the way back together and start it up for the first time. The one thing you don't want is a leak. So you've got to do it as perfect as you can first time. Right, so I have my parts from Audi. They've just turned up and we are going to go through the differences. So first thing I've got here is 2 timing chains, one from Porsche, one from Volkswagen. So it's going to sit back down. Now, I'll show you what I mean by part numbers. So the Audi part number was 06M109229AC, and the Porsche one was PAC 109229A. Even though that these were ordered off the exact same engine code vehicle, this one being the actual Macan, and this one being a diesel L8 out of an A6. But whether I'm actually going to be able to tell the chains apart, I don't know, because as you can see, they don't have a part number on them. So I don't want to get them mixed up. I mean, the packaging is completely different. I mean, I don't know. So although it's not completely obvious as to why they're so different, it does look like all the parts are the same. Now I'm going to go through the rest of the tensioners and make sure that the part numbers for the Porsche ones are the same as the Audi. Not that it makes that much difference, because I am just going to use the Porsche parts anyway, because it's a Porsche. I'll keep the invoice in with the history of the car. But yeah, I was just really interested to see if there were actually any differences and why the Porsche one was so much cheaper, but it looks like they are the same part. Feeder chains through here. There isn't a way this goes. No, there isn't a direction, so. Oh, what I will do, actually, is test the length. Let's see if this chain is stretched. I need to make sure I know definitely which one's the new one. Right. In fact, you know what? No, it's obvious. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you can see that. Let me have a look. The new one looks longer. No, I think. No, they're identical. They're the same length. I'm 99% sure it's all down to the tensioner, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because I think I found a defect on it. So let me just feed this through here. We'll put that over here. Just wrap that round there for a minute. And oh no, I'm going to have to put this bank on first because that chain sits at the back. So this has been twisted. Now this bit's just long and tedious. I'm just taking my time. I'm putting the variators back on the head, making sure they're in the correct position, the same position where I took them off, put the chain around the variators as well, and then put my guides in, and then finally the tensioner. And then once it's all in, we can then pull the pin on the tensioner to tension it. Now actually, I forgot to mention why oh no, not that one. Where is it, this one? Now, I forgot to mention why I think this tensioner is faulty, and it's the reason this timing chain's no good. So, there is a spring inside the tensioner, and then it's oil pressure fed as well. Now I don't think the spring's the problem, because I can still feel the spring, it's still springy. But I think it's not maintaining oil pressure under operation, and the oil is leaking out the side of the valve. And if you look here, let me just get up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but do you see where it's quite worn and there's a chrome surface there, look, just where my left thumb is here. See, it's worn. Now if I push this down, oil leaks out of there quite easily, see? And I think that is the reason for the failure. I think the oil's leaking out of there, not maintaining enough pressure, which is why the timing chain was slightly loose. Now if I look on the new tensioner that I've got, which is here, I've put the pin back in already, but there is no such marking. So yeah, I think that is a tensioner defect, and that is the reason this car was making a noise on idle. Right, so I've now attached the two tensioners for this side, chains on. I've checked my variators are in the correct position, which they are. Tension is on, all bolts are torqued up, so all I need to do now is go, boom. Just pre-tension that, and I mean straight away, there's no slack in the chain like there was before, at all. It's a lot tighter, and obviously there's no oil in there whatsoever at the minute for oil pressure, so good start. So with everything in position, I torqued the variator bolts to 30 Newton meters, spun the engine over twice to check the timing. It was all good, so then I re-torqued them to 30 Newton meters plus 35 degrees each one. Oh yeah. Is that in? Oh yes, that's gone on. Lovely, I think. And once I got the timing chain cover on its lugs, I then done the bolts up evenly just to make sure it pulls it on nice and square and straight, so that the silicone can cure in a proper position and not get smudged. And then I did the same thing with the camshaft timing chain covers as well. Now luckily I've still got my crank tool from that RS4 engine rebuild I did like 3 or 4 years ago, so and it fits. So crank seal over the special tool like this, locate the special tool on said crank, and then push it over here, and then if I'm honest I might just push like that, and then it's just about making sure you get it even. I can't remember if you're supposed to use a tapping stick or not, but I'm going to. Right, there we go.
And just like that, it's all now back together, completely, fully back together. All the sensors plugged in, fuel lines, coolant pipes, all done, flywheels on, all sorted. So the engine is now ready to just go back in. And yeah, once we're in, all I need to do is bolt the gearbox up, fuel lines, ECU, electric connectors, and we can go for a start fairly quickly. And then we'll know obviously straight away whether, I mean, I'm 99% sure. No, you know what? I'm 100% sure the issue was that tensioner, that little bit of where you could see the coating of the tensioner had failed, thus letting oil out and therefore not getting enough pressure. That is the reason that that timing chain was flapping around. So we'll get it in, we'll do the bare minimum to get the engine running just for peace of mind before we build the whole front end up. Right, let's give it a go. I've just unplugged the high pressure fuel pump and common rail. So it may start, it may not. No, it still did. It's still gonna start. The fuel pump just primed. So I fear it's still gonna start. I need to squeeze in here. Yes, yes, yes. It cut straight out. Oh, fans are kicked in. Oh, it might have cut straight out because I've disconnected the fuel pumps. Yeah. Let's try again. There we go. Right, it's running. It's running, but we got... I think it's all right. We've just got a load of air leaking due to intercooler pipes not being connected. Now, I've just disconnected the fans because they were making a hell of a noise, but I have this horrible feeling that I still heard that noise through the sound of the fans. And if it is still making the noise, I know what the problem is, and it's not good. Well, not good for me. It'll be good for you. But yeah, let me just start it up with no fans, and I fear it's still going to make the noise. Oh, it's not making it. Oh, it sounds all right. Let me just let it get off fast idle and I'll come back, but... Oh, wait. No, it's coming round. No, there it is. Oh, it is there, isn't it? It's, oh, now it's gone, now it's come back. There it is. There it is. There it is. Damn it! Now, I had a feeling this was going to happen, but I didn't really have a choice. So, a little bit of backstory. When I was obviously diagnosing this, found the loose chain, obviously the noise was coming from that area. I was like, great, it could be that. But obviously I was doing loads of research on the DZLA and D engine. And there were a couple of common problems. One of them being the timing chain tensioner, common problem. The needle roller bearings. Thank you for everyone that sent me links to that blue Macan, but that is a completely different engine and isn't relatable to this at all. The needle roller bearing issue got fixed for this engine, and I did check them with my scope as well, and they were all fine, so I knew it wasn't that. But there is one thing that someone kindly sent me on Instagram, and that is the pistons. Now, I think this is absolutely ridiculous, but Audi couldn't get Marley pistons, which is what most engines use for Audi. They couldn't get them for a period when these engines were being built. And to get around it, they ordered and bought a load of cheap Chinese pistons called Dongyang. And I'm not even joking. That is what they did. And there's obviously been a common problem with these engines that have those pistons in, that lo and behold, after about X amount of miles, low mileage, they break and go wrong. And I think this engine has Dongyang pistons in it. But the annoying thing is, and why it was worth taking the risk with the timing chain, is because there isn't really a way to find out whether the pistons are faulty without stripping the head off. Because I put a bore scope down the number 6 bore, and the linings look okay. I couldn't see anything obvious at all. But I did search on Facebook and I found a video of this same engine, and it made the exact same noise as mine. I reached out to the guy and said, look, what was your issue? And he said it was the pistons. And he sent me a video of the pistons hitting, basically being too small for the cylinder wall and just banging the side of the block, which is probably what that noise is now. Absolutely unbelievable that Audi and Porsche would allow them to put such vital components cheap and buy them from like China. I know stuff comes from China, but you know what I mean, like cheap Chinese products called Dongyang, for example. They should not have been ever put in a Porsche or an Audi 3-litre V6 engine for this exact reason. But for some reason, it's the customer who's now got to foot the bill for that after only 26,000 miles. Now they have updated them. They've obviously dropped the Dongyang pistons. You can no longer buy them, shock horror. And the superseded pistons are the Marley ones. So I am now 100% confident that is what my issue is, because obviously timing chains aren't it, needle bearings aren't it, and the fact that I spoke to this other person as well and he's got the exact same noise and issue as me, and it was the pistons. So it's annoying, but it was definitely worth spending £400 on timing chains and tensioners, taking the risk and not then stripping the whole of the cylinder head just to realise that the pistons were fine and it was the timing chain tension all along. Because let's be honest, it was loose. It did look faulty. So that is kind of where I'm at. So it looks like now I've got to pull the engine back out. And also, by the way, the problem with the pistons start at piston 6, which is exactly where the noise is coming from. So I'm pretty much of no doubt now that that is the issue we've got. I can confirm the pistons once I remove them. I have the part number for the Dongyang ones, so I know if they're definitely the cheap Chinese ones or not. But it looks like I'll be fitting 6 new pistons, uprated pistons to this, which is obviously great for you, great content, but I mean, I don't mind doing it as well. I like doing stuff like that. The only thing I don't like now is taking the engine back out after I've just put it back in. That's the bit that's going to annoy me. So I'm now going to put it to a time lapse. I'm going to stick my headphones on. I'm going to put music on in the background. I'm going to crack on and take this engine back out, take this cylinder head back off. Take this Bank 2 cylinder head off. And the next clip you're going to see is us inspecting the piston and hopefully getting to the bottom of this issue. So fast forward a couple of hours, got the engine back out, and I stripped all Bank 2 spark plugs, coil packs, etc., all off the top of the engine, and then removed the bolts for the camshafts, which are actually locked to the cam bridge. So you remove it all as one, and then we can remove the bolts for the head. And there we go, guys. I don't even need to get to piston 6. Piston 4 is at TDC. And there is our problem. Oh, there's a look, even right down here.
There's a massive gap in the pistons. They're huge. I can't believe the gap size. It's like a 3mm gap. Let me take a picture and I'll show you. I'm now just going to turn the engine over to get the others to TDC just so I can show you. There we go, it's number 5. And then number 6. Look at that. Now I'm just checking the liners, and I think we've caught the problem early, because although you can see marks here, like faint wearing marks, there's no damage from what I can see. Again, I'll put a picture up. And there we go, look. If you look there, I've just cleaned one of them up, and see my part number ends with a J. It's got 099J, and I'll put a little picture up on the screen now which says, if any of my pistons end with a J, it means I have Dongyang pistons. So there we go, confirmed. I've got 6 Dongyang pistons in my engine. Now, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Because it seems that Audi and Porsche have cheaped out and gone, oh, we can't find proper pistons, so we're going to put some cheap ones in. It will get us out the mud. Who cares after that? We don't care about longevity. We just want to get the units out the door. And the customer can pick up the bill later down the line when they inevitably fail, which is what's happened in this case and many other cases. So there we go, guys. Found the issue. Pistons have got a massive, it's like a 3mm gap between the cylinder walls and the piston, which is why we're getting that noise. Now, as I said, let me know in the comments what you think about that and this whole scenario. I've got 6 pistons, they've just turned up, 1,800 quid. So yeah, it ain't gonna be cheap, and it probably wasn't worth it now, this car, but you roll the dice, you take a risk. Hopefully the RS6 pays off, and that'll be the next video. And if that pays off, then you win some, you lose some. Just proof of that, isn't it? But yeah, as I said, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I've got Marley pistons now to stick in it, so this engine should be good. But I guess it's a word of warning also. If you have a 3-litre TFSI engine, a 55 TSI Audi, or a Porsche Macan with a 3-litre engine, get rid of it. Unless it's had the pistons replaced. It seems to be just a ticking time bomb at this point. This engine's only done 26,000 miles, so it doesn't really matter on mileage. Yeah, it seems like it's a bit of a massive risk. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. In the next video, we are going to be fully building this engine with the new pistons and rings in, putting it back all together, getting it back in the car, and hopefully the death rattle will have gone. Cheers, guys.